In West Asia, the worst nightmare seems to be playing out. The situation has turned uglier. The tensions seem to be expanding. So are the ripple effects. And with the world watching on with bated breath, a number of developments taking place. First up, Saudi Arabia has entered the picture, shifting the dynamics and triggering serious questions and concern about where things could be headed. Here's what's happened. The United States and Saudi Arabia jointly struck Iran-backed armed groups in Iraq. Washington and Riyadh have said they had jointly struck the Iran-backed groups in Iraq in retaliation for the drone attacks on Saudi oil targets launched from Iraq. Here's why this is extremely significant. Why does this matter? First, these are the first U.S. airstrikes as such in West Asia since Donald Trump suspended the U.S. bombing campaign against Iran last week. These strikes could also widen the conflict. After all, this is also the first time during the war that Saudi Arabia had publicly announced participating in strikes alongside America. And this could essentially widen the conflict by drawing Sunni Muslim Saudi Arabia into combat against Shiite proxies of Iran on a whole new front. Iraq's Popular Mobilization Forces have said at least 20 members were killed, 32 injured in the US-Saudi strikes targeting several bases across Iraq. Also remember, this is just one layer here. Saudi Arabia has, remember, also been drawn into the conflict on another front, with the Iran-aligned Houthi movement in Yemen announcing that blockade of the Saudi oil facilities, the Saudi oil exports, beg your pardon, the blockade of the Saudi oil exports in the Red Sea last week, and the firing on ships and oil facilities. So a lot of that has been happening. Hours before launching the joint attacks with Saudi Arabia on Iraq, the U.S. military, in fact, said its air defenses had averted a surprise Iranian attack on U.S. troops in the region. Jordan's military, in fact, said that it had shot down as many as 5 Iranian missiles. Iran's Revolutionary Guards also said they had fired several ballistic missiles at U.S. military installations in Jordan and had struck 3 tankers that were attempting to transit through the Strait of Hormuz along an unauthorized route, according to it. Before we tell you more about the implications of these volatile developments, let's also explain to you how and why the militias have become so influential in Iraq. What's the background here? Who are these groups really? So the US and Saudi Arabia striking the Iran-backed Shiite armed groups in Iraq, which the allies said were responsible for drone attacks on Saudi oil facilities. The militias have enormous power in Iraq, both political as well as military power. The Shiite groups they sprang up as Tehran steadily entrenched itself in Iraqi politics and security matters after the US-led invasion of Iraq toppled Saddam Hussein in 2003. In fact, the militias, with Iranian financial as well as military support and backing, have become major forces, formidable ones. And they are reportedly part of the Islamic resistance in Iraq, an umbrella group of about 10 hardline Shiite armed factions that collectively command about 50,000 fighters and arsenals. The resistance group is pretty much a key pillar of Iran's network of regional proxy forces, Iraq's Popular Mobilization Forces, the powerful Iran-backed paramilitary groups, basically incorporated into the Iraqi security forces. Also, Kateb Hezbollah, the most powerful faction in the Islamic resistance in Iraq, one of the armed groups closest to Iran, in fact. It was founded in the mid-2000s. So that's just a summary of what these militias have been all about in the country. The Trump administration, in fact, has pressured Iraqi leaders to rein in the armed groups. So what are the implications of what we have seen unfolding now? How has Iraq reacted? The Iraqi presidency denounced the strikes on the paramilitaries as an unacceptable attack and a flagrant violation of Iraq's sovereignty. while also calling for a halt to attacks by the armed groups against Iraq's neighbors. In fact, Iran has said the US-Saudi attacks were an attempt by the United States and Israel to spread their war further in the region. One of the Iran-backed armed groups in Iraq has also said US and Saudi forces would pay a heavy price. There has been a major setback on the diplomatic front as well. Tehran earlier rejected an Omani proposal to jointly manage the strait. All this while Trump has been upping the ante as well. Earlier, he declared the US will be hitting Iran hard in response to Tehran's overnight attacks on US assets in the region. He said, quoting, "We'll be hitting them hard. They are going to get a beating." This is what he told Fox News in a phone interview reportedly. And there's another big question that's been hanging in the air amid all of these developments for a while now. Will Pakistan send troops to fight the Houthis? Triggered as Saudi Arabia and the Houthis exchanged missiles. Remember, Islamabad has projected solidarity in a way with Saudi Arabia under its long-standing defense partnership. The renewed fighting also has brought back questions over whether Pakistan could once again be drawn into Saudi Arabia's security calculations as such. With Pakistan and Saudi Arabia bound by that military agreement, the renewed emphasis on defending Saudi Arabia also has been triggering a question about whether projecting strength abroad has also been a way to shift attention away from the troubles at home in Pakistan. Saudi Arabia, remember, has repeatedly helped Pakistan through financial crises. But openly confronting the Iran-backed Houthis also comes with serious risks. And Pakistan at this point cannot afford another front with those tensions escalating domestically. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.